Hello and welcome to Dinim 16. I'm your host, Rabbi David Katz. We're going to start and base today's class on an article posted about Noahide-ism, and I chose it because it has a learning in it that is learned wrong. We're going to learn it right, and then we're going to conclude with how it fits into the last two classes of the Noahide Shabbat. All right, so we posted the link, and James, if you can just read slowly, and I'm going to come in with commentary in and out of what you're saying as it comes up. Go ahead.
And we start at in Bava Metzia?
No, we'll start at the front and just get our way through. Everyone, listen, if you have the link posted in the room, follow along. Again, my intention is that when I find these websites and blogs, what I find is that they articulate with pitch-perfect clarity what the party lines are and poor thinking is, and they're all in unison. It's not like I'm just picking on someone. It's just who articulates the other side clearly. And we have our favorite friends and foes out there that pretty much paint the picture of what bad learning, we'll call it bad learning, says that Noahide is supposed to be. That's, everyone is either a goy, Gentile, or a Jew. If you don't want to be a goy, then you convert to Judaism. And if we're going to be goyim, we should be good goyim, and 7 laws of Noah, Noahide, and overthrow governments, and all kind of good stuff like that. It's pretty pathetic and insulting. But I'm not doing it to antagonize this post. Again, we're isolating in this teaching, what you mentioned, Bava Metzia, he's going to boil his entire shita, or view of learning, on one kernel. And that's what I want to pick on, is you can't just say a guy's nuts. I mean, he has a point. Even if he learned it wrong, there's a point. And I'm going to exploit that point and throw him a bone and even prove his point, and that still does not negate Ger. All it does is accentuate, and we'll see in context when we get there. I don't want to put it out now so it doesn't have any context. So go ahead.
All right. Clarion call. There are many in our society who oppose the Noahide Code. All one has to do is Google Noahide laws, and you will see the proliferation of anti-Noahide websites that have infested the Internet. For those familiar with the Noahide law, the distortions of these haters is easy to spot. For those unfamiliar with the Torah, not so much.
Basically, Noahide has controversy on every level, and that's fine. It just, it's a loaded term for where I'm coming from with its limitations, conspiracy theorists, religious, whatever. It just, he's saying it comes at all angles. Go ahead.
The majority of these anti-Noahide websites are Christian websites, although there are more than a few that are atheist. The fear of the Christians is that the Noahide law has the power to destroy their religion. The atheists fear that the Noahide law will take away their hedonism or force them to accept that there is a God and an ultimate morality.
I just want to say the biggest problem I have with Noahide, personally, not professionally. Professionally, something different. Just David Katz of Modin, Israel. I'll even give you my personal anecdote of where I'm at in my personal life. You guys probably know my wife passed a couple years previous, 1 or 2. Everyone give me a 1, hopefully. Don't know. So it was unfortunate it happened, but the point is I'm dating now, looking to get married, and I have 2 kids, as you know. And the matchmakers in Orthodox Judaism, you work with a matchmaker. And they, I went to a speed dating event. I hope so. I hope it's Mazel Tov. I went to a speed dating event, Erev Yom Kippur, and just before my Texas trip, I think I went. And the matchmakers, like, they love my work. One guy, I guess he has an involvement with the nascent Sanhedrin. So he says, "Oh, Rabbi Katz, I'm glad I got to meet you. I've seen your book and your work with the Sanhedrin." It's kind of like a party topic when I get there. I'm not there to do work, but it seems like everyone wants to talk about the work. So when it comes to actually dating and meeting somebody, the women that are eligible, which is already slim pickings because I'm a Cohen, and a Cohen cannot marry a divorcee, so it's already hard to find somebody. Their first take is when they hear, blah, 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 some guy, blah, 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 claims to be a rabbi, blah, 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 works with Noahides. And it obviously claims to be is in reference to once they hear the word Noahide. Number one, no one knows what a ger is in this world over there, right? These are regular people. They're not Torah scholars. So Noahide is like a very generic term that I still use. Even it doesn't really, it probably hurts more than it helps, but there's nothing else. So the first thing they think is that I'm working with Christians, and that's kind of bothersome. And when we saw the other blog over the last couple series, right, their take is also that these people claiming to be Noahides are just undercover Christians. So it's very offensive, it's very bothersome, and it's a very dry way of looking at the world that there's Jews and Christians. Just like a Jew is an ethnic group, then the Goy, Gentile, is just another word for Christian. He's born that way, it's ingrained in him. They can never leave it behind. It's very bad news, but that's unfortunately how people are looking at it, and it just has a stigma. And you see that what this blogger here is pointing out the other side of the stigma. So Noahide comes with stigma on every level. And again, aside from my professional work, I'm talking just David Katz's world. Being associated with Noahide, without even getting into my professional business in affairs, is that it carries a tremendous stigma that I can't shake. So if I can't shake it, I'm sure you guys can't shake it as well so easily. And that's a big reason why Ger Torah has to work, and it does work, and why it was always meant to work. And Noahide was never a good alternative. But anyways, you can see that this blogger's approach is going to be that the movement has an intrinsic need and desire to go Christian. And we're going to obviously refute that and talk about that.
The anti-Noahides have it right in that we are out to destroy organized religion, particularly Christianity, the main organized religion in America.
So this is my number one personal gripe that I have with counter-missionaries, which has nothing to do with this article. I'm just pointing out things as we go. The counter-missionary approach is a constant battle with Jesus. You see Michael Skoback, Tovia Singer, every day. Paul said, Jesus said, did Paul say, did Jesus say, did the New Testament say? And, we're upset about the church, and I understand. There's things that are emotionally harmful about it. Okay, fine. But really, on a kind of stringent point of view, that is still largely shituf, which is allowable idolatry, like a kosher church. There is a true God, but we exist in kind of a churchy atmosphere. And I'm saying that because shituf is a thing, and I know I've been saying we're going to do that class, but I'm saving it for when we really want to do it. But this whole, coming out of the church and expecting to be kind of saved, okay? I don't even mean it in a derogatory way. You don't just come out of clip overnight and say, wow, I made it, now I'm here, I'm done. So the anti-missionary world is embellishing that struggle. The word is struggle. Ger, or kosher, Noahidism, whatever you want to say, it really has nothing to do with the church organized religion. It's going to God. It's turning to Torah, turning to holiness. That's where it really has to go. Now, you're allowed to struggle. I mean, there is such a thing as shituf and Noahide. But ideally, the ideal, I mean, look, you're allowed to be an alcoholic, technically. You're not going to get fired from your job. But do you want to be an alcoholic? You can be an abusive person, right? But really, should you be? I'm saying, you're not going to be put in jail from light abuse, but that's obviously not the optimal way that a person should behave and structure their life. There is such a thing as a healthy state of mind and an unhealthy state of mind. Ger Toshav is a healthy state of mind. It wants God, it wants holiness, it wants revelation. Battling Christians in churches and shituf and Paul in the New Testament, that's embracing the struggle. And life is, eating from the tree of life is about moving on past the struggle, and achieving things and accomplishing things and growing. And that's what we were talking about the first two classes. Now do you see why I brought this article in here? One or two? Right? It's really it's about leaving that nachri behind, right? This is very nachri. Do you feel the nachri in this article already? It's very nachri. We're battling the church and we're Noahide law. It's not what we're saying about Shabbos for Ger. It's very much that nachri. Just don't tell them about Shabbos. Just don't tell them about Shabbos. That's going to be the focus of this. Just don't tell them about Shabbos. All right, continue.
It would be difficult to find a more divisive ideology than organized religion. Since organized religion is prohibited under the Noahide Code, their fears are certainly justified. It is the task of the Noahide to remove this divisive ideology from the face of the earth.
Right. We know there's a famous Rambam that Noahide cannot invent his own religion. So one of the attacks that's come on Ger is that we've invented or created a new religion, which I find to be quite ironic, because Noahide really is a new religion. Ger is not a new religion. It's been in the Torah since Sinai and before. All we're doing is digging out those components. Today we have Ger in the world. In the 2,000 years of exile, they were, one non-Jew in the church, and the Jews were in a shtetl. Were you going to be the crazy Ger to call yourself a Ger? I doubt it. You'll be burned at the stake. If you come to the shtetl, you'll be killed. We're not going to go to the church from the shtetl. I mean, seriously. With the state of Israel post-World War II, you have the possibility for Ger in the world. You didn't have it before then. Not to the point where you can have movement and internet, yada yada. But again, Noahide is man-made religion. I mean, we've seen it even from a non-derogatory point of view, right? How do you properly kill an animal for don't eat the limb of a living animal? That's logic. It's svara. Now, it's allowed, okay? The rabbis can do that for akum, but once you concretize it and say, this is how the Noahide slaughters an animal. Well, no, it isn't. That's why there's no such thing as a Shulchan Aruch for Noahides. Chaim, by the way, I'm trying to get Chaim to source this. Chaim heard the Lubavitcher Rebbe say there is never a need for a Noahide Shulchan Aruch. Obviously, Ger follow the Shulchan Aruch where it's applicable for them, just like anybody in the Shulchan Aruch where it's applicable for them. But he heard the Lubavitcher Rebbe say there is no Shulchan Aruch for Noahides, because you can't concretize their law by definition. It's svara, and it's locational, geographical. I mean, it's not even a concept. That's like I'm going to put out a book, the official guide of how to date women. Would you buy that book? Rabbi David Katz, the official halacha of how to date a woman. Right? When you get out of the car, hold the door open at 33 degrees and ask her to please remove herself from the car in a modest way. If she's not modest, we are to hang her in the city square. When we come to a door, if it's a revolving door, it's an option to let her first. If it's not a revolving door, come on. This is not Sharia law. Okay? It's called Mensch. That's the law. Go ahead.
It is the fear-mongering about decapitation that is the anti-Noahide's weapon of choice. They use this threat to incite others against the Noahide code, spreading fear that if Noahide law becomes, quote, the law of the land, unquote, the Noahides will decapitate not only Christians, but anyone who violates the law. To think that we would promote a legal system that would mete out death for someone who steals a loaf of bread is ludicrous. This inflexible interpretation of Dinim makes Yavert look like Mother Teresa.
Which, by the way, this is the number one, I don't know, number one, but let's call it number one, reason why Ger exists. Ger goes by a merciful din of Torah. Noahide is din of Torah. Right? We saw this in the Grease and the Rambam. The Noahide that accidentally kills gets killed. The Ger that accidentally kills gets exiled. The Ger, by definition of Torah, carries a merciful law in the din of Israel of Sinai. Noahide law is lacking that mercy. So where one can argue here that it's the radicals that make an inflexible din, maybe, but as a fact, Ger achieves the same exact concept, and it's the Torah motion. So he's using Svara. We know from the Torah itself, Ger removes this kind of perversion. Now, we know that Akum does carry death penalty where it's applicable. But if you're going to be afraid of, if I steal a loaf of bread, my head will be chopped off, well, then how about becoming Ger and returning to Hashem and the Torah and everything that comes with that, and you find that God's nature is merciful. Why God allows people to exist in a state of Akum is not the scope of this class, but I think it should be at least aligned with the whole, do you want to be a Nachri and not know about Shabbos, or do you want to come out of Nachri world? I mean, that concept is going to be the theme of today, and it's a big theme. Again, it's not the only theme to run through this, but it's very, very strong. Go ahead.
Where do these anti-Noahides get such crazy ideas? Unfortunately, it is from the Jews themselves, particularly the supporters of the Rambam.
I'll agree with that. Bad learning creates fundamentalism, no matter what religion it is. Go ahead.
Many of the Jews out there who are involved in the Noahide movement teach that decapitation is the only punishment for violating any of the Noahide laws.
I'll agree. There's a lot of bad learning, and it seems my experience is Erev Rav are very gravitated towards the Noahide laws. With the Noahide laws, everybody becomes an expert. And again, you get bad learning, which creates this kind of thing. So where he's trying to make it sound like just, all Jews and any Jews, I'm going to call it specific Jews who have no business in learning. They become a self-proclaimed chacham. So on the Jewish side of the fence, those are not our most reputable people. But on the other side of the fence, I can understand it looks a little bit crazy. So to make a swooping statement like that isn't in the best of interest, but I understand it. Go ahead.
This sad fact is not lost on the enemies of the Torah, and it is these Jews who have become unwitting allies of the anti-Noahides and furnish the haters with the ammunition they need to install fear among the ignorant.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead.
In Bava Metzia 90a through 90b, there is a discussion about Noahides. The topic is about Jews who get Noahides to castrate bulls, which is halakhically forbidden to Jews.
You guys know the whole halakhically forbidden to Jews? If a Jew has a dog, he cannot neuter the dog because the dog's one mitzvah is to be fruitful and multiply.
Rav Papa says that Jews who do this transgress the prohibition, do not put a stumbling block in front of the blind.
Okay. Anyway, so we're going to do the Gemara, but he is saying The topic is about Jews. Since I can't castrate my bull, then I'll get my Noahide friend to do it, and then I accomplish a neutered bull. Go ahead.
This mitzvah from Leviticus 19:14, which prohibits causing another person to stumble in sin, it includes causing a non-Jew to violate one of the laws commanded to him.
Okay, so now let's look that up. Can you guys put, James, do you have this Gemara? You should, in that whole thing I sent you, Government C in 98. It's actually on 90B. So while you're getting that, let me explain something here. The blogger at hand, so James, when you get that up, I want to finish the article and then go back and learn it. Okay. All right, leave that up. If you could just finish reading the article. And I'm going to interject as you go.
To my knowledge, this part of the Talmud has never been taught or even mentioned by any rabbi who is involved in the Noahide movement.
All right, so this guy is saying, number one, Dinim is everything. Because through Dinim, you get all other six. You see how that's a logical deduction. If I have Dinim, I can implement all other six type 1. All right? So now, hold on, let me just work this out how I had it in my head. Okay, keep going. You'll see it. Keep going.
The reason for this is clear. Any Jew who interferes with a Noahide's observance of the 7 laws is in violation of halakha.
Right. So if you distract the Noahide from Dinim, then by definition he will not only not do Dinim, he will not do all other 6 type 1. See, this is the logical argument he's building. Forget the other 6. The other 6 are contingent on Dinim. So me, the Jew, all I have to do is pervert Dinim or distract you from Dinim, and I will then divert the entire Noahide movement and thereby deter the whole world. That's what he's saying. Keep going.
It is bad enough for the rabbis to fill the Noahide's head with obligations which have nothing to do with the Noahide law.
So that takes away from Dinim. So when we teach about Shabbos, you get so excited about Shabbos, you don't even want to do Dinim, and you don't even care about the other 7 Noahide laws. That's the argument he's building. Continue.
But to tell the Noahides that they must not attack the idolatrous religions which permeate our society.
Okay, so by not doing Dinim in America, you are preventing all of America from doing the Noahide law. If you would promote Dinim in America, then the whole world would be doing Dinim and Noahide law. Continue.
To tell them that our obligation to Dinim is only to set up courts of justice, to tell Noahides not to campaign for social change, but to let God handle everything, to tell the Noahide that every violation of a Noahide law is a sovereign Noahide state, in a sovereign Noahide state, result in decapitation. These things are what cause Noahides to stumble by preventing them from fulfilling the observance of Dinim. It is a violation of halakha.
So he's saying that this halakha, this Gemara, is the basis of the entire Noahide movement and everything that we built on top of this. Right? So when the Jew puts a stumbling block before the eyes, the blind, in Dinim, then it makes every diversion from Dinim and all Noahide laws are gone. So if you would establish one halacha, this halacha, get out of our way and let us not stumble in Dinim, everything would be fixed. Do you see his logic? Continue.
I can see it. I find it easier to prohibit idolatry first to fulfill the others, but that's just...
I agree, but we're going to learn how he didn't even learn it right in the moment. See it. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Some years ago, when I started to wonder about why the rabbis were teaching the Noahides Judaism instead of Noahide law,
i.e. that there's a God in spirituality, Kabbalah, and Shabbos,
I told my concerns to a friend of mine, a rabbi who was sympathetic to the cause. He discreetly talked to some of the rabbis involved in the Noahide movement, and my fears were confirmed. The rabbis involved in the Noahide movement are deliberately teaching the Noahides that the 7 laws are only a vehicle for personal salvation, steering them away from the social dimension of Dinim.
That's a skewed argument, number one, bad learning by those people that he would have asked. Number two, the skewed argument is because the entire focus, again, is steering them away from the social dimension of Dinim. He's actually saying that it's not wrong to be spiritual. He's saying it is wrong because it distracts and steers away from Dinim.
The rabbis do not want the Noahide movement to grow, at least not in the direction it is supposed to.
That's a ridiculous statement. Keep going.
The last thing they want is for Noahides to campaign against the current social order, to instigate society-changing reforms. They feel that Noahides would rile up the public and cause problems for the Jews.
I don't know one Jew that ever thought such a thought. But anyways, go ahead.
This is, of course, a valid concern, but what are we to do? It's our tuchas on the line, not theirs. We are ultimately responsible for keeping the 7 laws. And the 7 laws cannot be observed in their entirety unless we make them the basis for our society's legal system. However, by interfering with the Noahides' observance of Dinim, the rabbis themselves violate the halacha outlined in Bava Metzia 90b by placing a stumbling block in front of the Noahides. It is obvious that the rabbis are leading the Noahides down the wrong path. It is also obvious that they want to be in control and will not follow our lead in directing the course of implementing Noahide law in our own society. The only recourse is for them to get out of our way.
So I think you can see the obvious contradictions in the last part that don't need to do an ad hominem attack. Okay, let's go now. The top of Bava Metzia 90b. Let me see your version. I hate to do this to you, but back up just to the 90a, and then get a running start at the bottom. It's short. It's like one sentence more.
Come and hear, for they, the scholars, sent to Samuel's father. What of those oxen which the Arameans steal at the instance of the owners and castrate?
Which Arameans steal.
Is that right?
What is an Aramean? I'm sorry about this. Go back again. I want to see what that number 1 goes to. Or wherever that reference for number 1 goes. From the 3rd century onward, the Babylonian heathens, the Mandeans or Sabians were designated Arameans. Okay? And number 2, this was a device resorted to by Jewish owners in order to evade the relevant prohibition. I'm guessing that's probably don't put the stumbling block for the blind, right? 22:24. Let's see here. Aleph. No, let me see what 22:24 is. Hold on. Let's see, what is that? That is Leviticus 22:24. What prohibition is that? One whose testicles are squeezed, crushed, torn, or cut, you shall not offer to Hashem, nor shall you do these in your land. Interesting. It's about an ox or a sheep. Very interesting. Very interesting. Hold on, I want to see this one inside. Hold on. Very, very interesting. So this is very interesting. So the Jew would want to castrate the animal, and I just realized I taught you a party line. Today it's like your dog. It's because of the fruitful multiply. But back then, in Temple 22:24, it's because you're violating a direct command. You're not doing it because you don't want puppies. You're doing it because you want to temper the bull, but the prohibition is a different prohibition. Yeah, you do it to sterilize, but I guess it is illegal in the land of Israel. Yeah, basically, neutering is not legal. Very, very interesting. Okay, continue now with the next page. So what they do is they would have some kind of Gentile. We don't know which kind that means. Go ahead.
The Palestinian scholars hold with Rabbi Hidka.
Wait. It's not with you. Hold on. I remember the Gakin Yisum Mahu. I'm saying this is just, it's thick Aramaic. Hold on a second. And with the pages. So, I'm trying to match up my version with yours. Mahu. What did they? Man, it's hard to match this up with the English and the Hebrew. Shlach lechu. I think I can't tell. Can you just back up one more time? I'm sorry about that, but I'm having a very hard time matching the Aramaic with the English. I don't think the translation is perfect, but which Aramaeans steal the Ganvin Aramai at the ends of the Jewish and Umeganachim Yishon. Okay, so that Mahu, what's the case? What's the din? Shlach lechu, he replied, Arama, since an evasion. Okay, now flip it. He replied. He says, what's the case? Can the non-Jews do this to the Jewish bull? Blah blah blah. What's the case? He replied, it was an invasion was committed with them. Rama as avid behu. Turn the evasion upon them. Arimihu alayahu. And let them be sold. Vayizdavon. Now, number 3, this proves that one may not even instruct a heathen to perform that which is forbidden merely by a negative precept as castration. All right, this is a thick Aramaic dialogue. Let me see what Rashi says. Okay. Omeganchin yison, aleph, bracket. There. So he changed it to the Hebrew. Omeganchin. Okay. Umesarasin osan. V'achar kach magzirin lebalim. Umahaviz bailav Yisrael gonvu hanachri shehu machiru. So he castrated the bull and made it a saris, like no genitalia. And afterwards, it would return them to their owners, Umahavas Balav Yisrael, again, from the love of the owners of Israel, Gonvo Hanachri. So the Nachri is Gonvo Hanachri Shahu Machiro Umasaraso Kadeshi Yafil Charisha. This is a thick Rashi, but he's saying they're better for plowing the field this way. For more tame, obviously. Acher kach magzirin labalim u'me'ahavas bailav u'me'ahavas bailav Yisrael gonvu. This is a very thick Rashi. One second. V'lo yehena Yisrael b'veirahu Asa Kadesh Yaf. Okay, so the Jewish guy's doing it. V'lo yehena Yisrael b'veirahu Asa Kadesh Yafi l'charosh lefikach yaknusu shelo yachrush bo alma be'isser talav nami asura amira lenachri. Okay, there we go. The Jew is getting the nachri, and it's lashon nachri, to do this. Listen, what does he say here? Hold on, I'm just working this out. Hang on. Was committed with them, turn the evasion. Evasion is interesting word. Upon them, and let them be sold. Now, what does he mean? Let them be sold. This proves that one may not even instruct a heathen. Yeah, I got that. Again, this is like Aramaic idioms. When it says "let them be sold," v'lo yehena Yisrael. Yeah, that's right. Sell the ox so that the Jew doesn't benefit through the sin that he made in order it should be good for plowing. Therefore, there was a fine that they shouldn't plow with it, and it's an avera, sin, the isser, the lav, nami. It's also forbidden because of asura amira lanachri. So number one, they did something they shouldn't have to the bull. It's considered their sin. And you have a sin called say to the nachri. How many people have ever heard of a Shabbos goy? One or two? How many of you have heard of a Shabbos goy concerning the last two classes we've given here? To show the synergy here, right? And what you really call Shabbos goy is in halacha amira lagoy or amira lanachri. It's the same thing. Or amira la'akum. Same thing. So if I have a nachri, everyone type 1. Rabbi Katz has a nachri. I'm staying in a hotel, type 1. And the nachri bellhop, I say to him, hey, bellboy, can you make me a turkey sandwich in the microwave? That would be good. And he says, sure, Rabbi Katz, I would love to make you a turkey sandwich in the microwave. So he heats up and cooks me a wonderful turkey sandwich, type 1. That nachri just did a Torah-level sin for me because I said to him, Amir Lanachri, I commanded him, make me a sandwich on Shabbos. That sin is considered that I cooked the sandwich, number 1. Number 2, I perpetrated Amir Lanachri. I perpetrated that law of when you can say to a nachri. So does anybody know when I'm allowed to say to a nachri? Hold on, Justin Becker, 1 second. We're not there yet. Hold on. Does anyone know when I'm allowed to say to a nachri? When, I'm not even a fan of the nachri thing, but this is where it's allowed. Hey, nachri friend of mine, my flashlight, which is either lit or not lit, I forgot at the house. And it's a very long, dark walk to our neighbor's house. Would you be a mensch and carry the flashlight for me and go with me so we don't trip and fall? Sure, Rabbi Katz, I, Bob, your nachri friend, will do that. All right, I'm not a fan of that law, but that's where you're allowed to do it because no biblical crime was perpetrated. Type 1 or 2. He didn't cook. He didn't really break Shabbos. It's just not advised that I touch a mechanical thing, and he touched a mechanical thing. Now, what happens if Bob is a Ger Toshav? Am I allowed to ask him to do anything for me on Shabbos? No, I'm not. So that's where it's a big deal, right? Now, with our friend here, our Babylonian heathen, which is a nachri in Rashi's world, my perpetration is that I did a sin of castrating the bull, just like cooking the turkey sandwich, type 1, And I cooked my sandwich through a nachri, just like this guy castrated his bull through a nachri. Okay? So you see the crimes committed here. Now, James Rogers, please read on Rev Papa. Go ahead.
Rav Papa replied, the Palestinian scholars hold with Rabbi Hidka that the Noahides are themselves...
Scholars, that's Eretz Israel, just so you know. Go ahead.
That the Noahides are themselves forbidden to practice castration, and hence he, the Israelite...
B'nai Noach mitzvoyin al hasiris. Remember, how many of you guys have ever heard about the 30 laws of Noah? I have an article about it on my blog. In the Messianic era, there will be 38 laws of Noah, additional, given to Noahides. One of them is Seris, which is castration. It's forbidden for Noahides. Go ahead.
And hence he, the Israelite, in instructing the heathen to do it, violates, you shall not put a stumbling block before the blind.
That's it. So that's all. He made a sin of stumbling block for the blind because the Nachri, remember the B'nai Noach here is a Nachri. Okay, this is a Nachri who's a Ben Noach. He is commanded in the 7 laws. And this chap right here, he is trying, and he's in process in the middle of going from Nachri to Ben Noach, who keeps the 7 laws. How do I know that? Because Rashi calls him a Nachri, and he is trying to keep the 7 Noahide laws. Does everyone get that? He is not a full Noahide. He is not a full Noahide. Type 1. He is a Nachri. Rambam Hilchos Malachim 10:9. This is not a Noahide. Type 1, if you understand why he is not a Noahide. You know, bless his heart, one day he'll be a Noahide. That's where he's holding. Bless his heart, one day he'll be a Noahide. Right, so he is he synonymous with a Shabbos goy? Is he synonymous with Beitzah, pun intended, 16a? By the way, Beitzah means egg. That's why I said pun intended. Is he synonymous with our Nachri in Beitzah 16a? Our Nachri who just whatever you do, don't tell him about Shabbos. Whatever you do, he is synonymous, James Rogers. Same kind of guy. He's a Nachri. He suffers a Mir Lagoy. You know, Jews telling him to break things for him. Just don't tell him about Shabbos. And apparently we'll just pervert the judgment and let him castrate our bull, right? If he was a Noahide, he would be called Ger Toshav, the second opinion, which is the Psak Halacha of Avodah Zorah 64b, type 1. Thereby, it is illegal to have him break Shabbos for you, and thereby he would know not to castrate a cow or a bull for a Jew. That's why you have to become a Ger Toshav. James Rogers, if you're not a Ger Toshav, would you even know that the Jew was trying to perpetrate a fraud? How would you know that?
If I would have been amongst Israel, I would have learned what they do and how they do it and why.
That's right. So, right, and if you're a Nachri, you can see how you would be exploited to basically break your own law.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't know any better. Right? That's the difference between a Nachri Ben Noach and a Ben Noach. The Ben Noach knows the Noahide laws. The Nachri Ben Noach is commanded in them, and he's trying to do them. The whole thing is the Jew is commanding him. Why is there a Ger Toshav today? Because a Ger Toshav knows not to be a Shabbos goy. A Ger Toshav knows not to castrate bulls. Now, again, let's read Rashi. Now that we know the Indian. All right, so he wants to castrate. Omisar sin oisin. Va'achar kach magzirin labalim U'me'ahavis bailav Yisrael gonvu hanachri shehu machiro u'masarso k'dei sheyeh yafa l'chirish. Hold on, one second. Masarsin oisim achar kach magzirin lebalim u'me'ahavis bailav Yisrael gonvu hanachri shehu machiro u'masarso k'dei sheyeh yafa l'charisha. Basically, they made a little contract here. The Nachri and the Jew. Vayizdavon v'lo yehena Yisrael b'veira hu asa k'dei sheyeh yafa l'chirish lefikach yiksnu shelo yichrosh bo alma be'isr. Right, he put a stumbling block before the blind. The lav nami asura amira lanachri. Okay, so now let's think about this logically. Ready? This is the crux of the whole argument. The law of there's two laws at hand here. Who can tell me the two laws the Jew broke? Two laws the Jew broke. Amir Lanachri, type 1, and don't castrate. No, there's no Dinim here. That's Alan Cecilism. There is don't actually you can call it three laws. Amir Lanachri, don't castrate, and stumbling block before the blind. Everyone got a one for me? Good to see you, Edo. Okay, now, and we're going to paint this picture, me and James Rogers. James, I own a bull. You're going to be our resident Nachri, God forbid, for this little episode. Now, I want you, my Nachri friend, what did I just do? I want you, my Nachri friend. What did I just do? Amir Nachri. Right?
Yeah.
When I said I want you to, I'm commanding you to do something, and it's going to become not kosher, so I just did Amir Lanachri. I want you to castrate my bull. That's 2. Number 3 is those 2 together. I place a stumbling block before the blind. Because you are a Nachri, and if you would have been a Ger Toshav, I wouldn't have got away with it. And because you're a Nachri, you are not knowledgeable enough to not castrate my animal. So again, the stumbling block for the blind is because I was able to pervert the Nachri command and your lack of knowledge. Therefore, you did a sin for me. And you didn't realize that you were helping me sin. So, by me sinning, you stumbled in blindness. By me commanding you and not knowing, you stumbled in blindness. So the 2 sins were 2 sins were one. I caused a stumbling block before the blind. And we see that the stumbling block before the blind has to do with what is the blind concerning a Ben Noach when he's a Nachri and not a Ger Toshav. He cannot know his own law, and he will help me commit a crime that he is not allowed to do. Do you see how, again, we've shown how Ger Toshav gets you out of a Nachri din? Type 1. Hilchos Shabbos is a perfect mashal for this. In Shabbos, if he was a Ger Toshav, he would not be commanded by me, the Jew, and he would not cook my sandwich. Type 1. I would never be able to commit a stumbling block before the blind like this with a Ger Toshav. Type 1. With a Nachri, I can commit stumbling block before the blind. Now, the stumbling block before the blind is because I commanded the Nachri, Amir al-Nachri. And I can only command a Nachri, I cannot command a Ger Toshav. If I command you, James Rogers, James, will you please go out and castrate a bull for me? What would your answer be 10 times out of 10?
No, sorry.
Right. Now, if I were to call a farm in North Korea, and I would say, will you please castrate a bull for me for what, $5,000? Do you think they would do it? I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
I don't know North Koreans, but I'm just guessing they probably would do it based on what I see on CNN. So therefore, they stumbled because they're Nachri. I sinned because they're Nachri. Okay. We're focusing the argument on the Nachri. James Rogers, is a Nachri a kosher Noahide?
There's that word again. I'd say no.
No, he's not. So the whole entire stumbling block before the blind, theoretically, is being used here in this Gemara. At least here it's not even theoretical. Here it's a fact. It's being the stumbling block before the blind is on a Nachri, not a Noahide.
Well, the Noahide wouldn't be blind.
Exactly. So there we have the case in the Talmud. Let's go back to our friend and let's go over his Torah again and see if it fits. All right, so we are told that this Gemara, this halacha, in this context, distracts Noahides from Dinim and thereby ruins the entire Noahide religion. The only problem is, did we actually make a stumbling block in this Gemara to his mitzvah of Dinim? Did we obstruct the Nachri's Dinim?
I'm going to say no.
Looks like another.
If you say Nachri's Dinim,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already it's a Nachri law. I don't think it's appropriate to say the mitzvah of Dinim was obstructed by an ignorant Nachri. I would say that Nachri was blinded because he's not Ger Toshav. Meaning he was not even holding at Dinim or any law. I mean, he wasn't holding at anything. He's a Nachri. What the Jew stumbled with him was taking advantage of his ignorance. And that's where the stumbling block was. That the Jew was able to sin through the aid of the Nachri and the ability to command the Nachri. I'm just working this out. So the Nachri did not stumble except in his own ignorance. So I guess the question would become, if the Jew did not command the Nachri, how do you work this? If the Jew would not have commanded the Nachri, there would have been no stumbling block. Thereby, what would be accomplished by the Nachri? Nothing. See, he didn't take away his Dinim. All he did was he put it in motion that accentuates his Nachri state. That's it, right. There's no up and down with the Nachri. The Jew didn't lower him, right? The Nachri was exploited on the level he's on. I.e., if the Jew would have left him alone, no change would have been made to that guy's dinim. Even still, the Nachri really wasn't liable here either. Because the Amir al-Nachri was the Jewish sin. The castration was a Jewish sin. Nobody would put to court the Noahide here. It was the Jewish sin. It's just the Jew can't sin through a Noahide sin. But even if you want to say that he would have been relieved of sin, nobody took away his dinim. Let's read it inside. Go ahead and read from underneath Ted Turner. Go ahead. Wait, Justin Becker, that's correct. But that ignorance has nothing to do with the premise of the dinim issue. That is a premise of Beitzah 16a, the start of the sugya. You don't keep a nachri. That's where I'm going with it, right? We don't keep nachri at nachri. That's what I'm saying the perpetration is. Not that we are, what's his word? Where's his word? What is the, hold on. I'm going to use his word. Where's the habit? I lost the word. Go ahead. Steering away from social dimension of dinim. That's assuming, he's assuming that Ben Noach language in the Talmud is a full-blown Noahide. He's not. He's a Nachri. And even if you want to say he's a full-blown Noahide, the Jew did not steer him away from dinim. He did a completely different, it's not even, they're not applicable. Go ahead. Read from In Bava Metzia. Go slow.
In Bava Metzia, 90a through 90b, there is a discussion about Noahides.
Not really. It's about what Noahides are supposed to do and about what a Nachri did do. You see how it's both? A Noahide doesn't castrate a bull. But that is not a dinim issue. That's one of the 30 Noahide laws against castration. So if you want to say in the dinim of castration, that's already, kind of separate from dinim. I mean, every Noahide law has dinim. So, go ahead.
The topic is about Jews who get Noahides to castrate bulls.
No, it's about the Nachri that did it, and ideally the Nachri would be a Noahide Ger Toshav and wouldn't do it.
Didn't they use the word heathen in the English translation we're looking at? I mean, they distinctly said heathen. That's not a Noahide.
Right. There was some of the Arameans and the Nachri. And only the law about a Ben Noach, what did it say in the Talmud? It said the proof that the Jew was liable was because of a totally separate law that they brought in, the Amar B'nai Noach Mitzvoyin al Hasiris. He's saying, why was this heathen wrong? Because B'nai Noach are commanded against that. That's a Noahide law. One of the 30. That's not our heathen. That's not what he did. You see how they're not the same case? The heathen castrated. The Jew got in trouble. The Jew commanded the heathen. Now, the Jew should have known better than to command the heathen, because that heathen should not be a heathen. He should be a Ger Toshav. And then he would know, I am not allowed to castrate bulls. So again, the Nachri was ignorant of the B'nai Noach law. Go ahead.
Rav Papa says that Jews who do this transgress the prohibition, do not put a stumbling block in front of the blind.
That's right. If they convince a Noahide to do that, that is a sin. Do not put a stumbling block in front of the blind.
A keeper of the seven would not be blind.
That's right.
This is a mitzvah from Leviticus 19:14, quote, which prohibits causing another person to stumble in sin. It includes causing a non-Jew to violate one of the laws commanded to him, unquote.
It includes causing a non-Jew to violate one of the laws commanded to him. Okay. A Jew should not ask a Noahide to castrate. Go ahead.
To my knowledge, this part of the Talmud has never been taught or even mentioned by any rabbi who is involved in the Noahide movement.
Oh, we just made history. Yoo!
The reason for this is clear. Any Jew who interferes with the Noahide's observance of the 7 laws is in violation of halakha.
No. Because I'm asking you to castrate a bull. I didn't ask you to buy me a licorice. See the difference? I want you to castrate a bull. Or I could say, hey, James Rogers, on your way to the court of law to do justice, can you buy me some licorice as a favor? And then your wife called and told you to go home, and you never went to study Dinim. Did I now put a stumbling block before the blind by asking you to buy me licorice?
I wouldn't think so.
Right. There's a big difference between breaking the law and, what does he say again? Steering away from it. But keep reading. See, wait, that's cryptic language. Any Jew who interferes with the Noahide's observance, see, that's where he skewed the law. See that? See, interferes we see the Jew cause the Noahide to break the law. Interfere may be breaking the law, if you use that word interfere, or it just might be interfere. It comes down to did the Jew prevent categorically and corrupt the law? Go ahead.
It is bad enough for the rabbis to fill the Noahide's head with obligations which have nothing to do with the Noahide law. But to tell Noahides that they must not attack the idolatrous religions which permeate our society, to tell them that our obligation to Dinim is only to set up courts of justice, to tell Noahides not to campaign for social justice, but to let God handle everything, to tell the Noahide that every violation of a Noahide law in a sovereign Noahide state must result in decapitation. These things are what cause Noahides to stumble by preventing them from fulfilling the observance of Dinim.
Is that true?
It is a violation of halakha.
Is that true? He's saying from Bava Metzia 90b, that statement is true. The answer is no, that statement is not true. The Jew commanded a Noahide to be the tool that the Jew would sin with. That's what it means, put the stumbling block before the blind. That's not what's happening here at all. It's like maybe like a third, thousandth, whatever cousin, okay? It's not anywhere near the actual scope of the din. You lose. Keep going.
Some years ago, when I started to wonder about why the rabbis were teaching the Noahides Judaism instead of Noahide law, I told my concern.
So, if Judaism goes against Noahide law, then we can understand that that's true. But Judaism real Judaism, you can call it Ger Judaism, does not go against Noahide law. And if it does, like eating a piece of meat, like we said, it elevates to Ger, and then it's by definition not Nachri, and thereby it's not exploitation. Go ahead.
I told my concerns to a friend of mine, a rabbi who is sympathetic to the cause. He discreetly talked to some of the rabbis involved in the Noahide movement, and my fears were confirmed. The rabbis involved in the Noahide movement are deliberately teaching the Noahides that the 7 laws are only a vehicle for personal salvation, steering them away from the social dimension of Dinim.
Right, so the rabbis involved in the Noahide movement are deliberately teaching the Noahides that the 7 laws are only a vehicle for personal salvation. No, they're not. Steering them away from the social dimension of Dinim. So we are saying don't do Dinim. That just makes
I can.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was kind of because they were afraid of what might happen. It could, you don't want to offer a chicken up in your backyard. Your neighbors will think you're nuts.
Right.
The news would make a field day of it. But that was 15 years ago, and yeah.
Right. I think, but the fact that the Ger movement, if you want to call it that, is having a Dinim class every Thursday, I have a hard time believing that one. Go ahead.
The rabbis do not want the Noahide movement to grow.
Well, it sounds like he doesn't want the Noahide movement to grow. He's bringing me a Gemara about a Nachri, and he doesn't want to acknowledge Ger Toshav. I find that problematic. Go ahead.
At least not the direction it is supposed to. The last thing they want is for Noahides to campaign against the current social order, to instigate society-changing reforms. They feel that Noahides would rile up the public and cause problems for the Jews. This is, of course, a valid concern, but what are we to do?
Now,
it's our
we've seen nothing like this in Bava Metzia. Nothing. I mean, this is just beyond belief at that point. Go ahead.
This is, of course, a valid concern, but what are we to do? It's our tuchus on the line, not theirs. Really? We are ultimately responsible for keeping the 7 laws, and the 7 laws cannot be observed in their entirety unless we make them the basis for our society's legal system.
But the Gemara brought in a case from the 30 Noahide laws. So he's trying to say that one of the 30 is actually the Dinim. I mean, it's not about 7. It's just not. There's much more to Noahide than 7. Even if you want to call it Noahide. That's what the Gemara is saying. And he's not even a Noahide. He's a Nachri. Go ahead.
However, by interfering with the Noahides' observance of Dinim, the rabbis themselves violate the halacha outlined in Bava Metzia 90b by placing a stumbling block in front of the Noahides.
So if they interfere, what does that word interfere? If we tell you to not have Dinim, yeah, or like, go rob a bank for me, James, I need money, okay? Yeah, then it's a problem. But any sane person teaching Torah is not doing that. And if they are doing that, bless their heart. Go ahead.
It is obvious that the rabbis are leading the Noahides down the wrong path. It is also obvious that they want to be in control and will not
leading the Nachri down the wrong path. That's what the Gemara is pointing out. That everybody's leading the Nachri down the wrong path. That's my whole point. Leave Jesus alone. Leave the church alone. That's the whole point of Beitzah 16a. Stop keeping Nachri. Good.
It is also obvious that they want to be in control and will not follow our lead in directing the course of implementing Noahide law in our society. The only recourse is for them to get out of our way.
So he wants to take Noahide and give it to, and basically make conquered Nachri to keep Noahide law. And you know what? This is where I'm going to start my version of the shiur today. He's right. You can be a Noahide who endorses Noahide and conquer Nachri and make them good Noahides, and that is a valid thing to do. But you know what you can also do? You can be a Nachri that grows to Noahide, grows to Ger, and that's what we're pointing out here. Once one leaves Nachri, they can remain Nachri Noahide type, or they can go to Ger. Gerim are for God. The Noahide is kind of like for Lefif Shuto. I wrote down little notes here. The Ger is for Shabbos. I mean, that's what started this class, and we're going to end on that note ultimately. That the most important thing for the Ger is being for God, and that's what Shabbos is about. That Gerim are for God, and Gerim are about being Bein Adam Lamakum, like between the relationship between them and God. Noahide, as pointed out by Cecil, is only interested in between her fellow man. Social justice, fellow man, that's fine. You can focus on that. But you're also allowed to focus on God. To say not, that you have to be an atheist is just, I'm not even going to say that. That's just beyond stupid. So the Ger understand in their service that Shabbos means the absolute truth, getting wisdom, being Ger, Shabbos, Israel, Torah, relationship with God, Shabbos for God, and there is no why. There's no why. The Ger understands Shabbos, God. The Noahide is all about the social relationship, 7 Lefif Shuto, and it's all about halacha. It's all we hear. Noahide Dinim are the most important thing of all the 7. And the Ger say that Shabbos is the most important thing. And it doesn't take away from the 7 at all. We're going to close on that note. So with that, I wish you a very good Shavuos. We'll have class during Shavuos, since it only comes out Sunday night, Monday night. So we should have class Tuesday, probably on Wednesday and Thursday. And then obviously we end the holiday on Sunday night, Monday night again. And the following week we're back on schedule. So there's your answer. Beitzah 16a is saying Nachri, stop being a Nachri, break out and become Ger. Noahide say remain Nachri, conquer Nachri, make them oppressed. I see the anti-missionary doing this. Yeah, they do. It's called taking advantage of Nachri. The bottom line is, if you go Ger, there's no such thing as stumbling block for the blind. Then by definition, there's no such thing as perversion of Dinim, then is there? If there is no stumbling block before the blind, there cannot be a perversion of Dinim. You lose. Have a great Shabbos. Enjoy your Shabbos. If you've come out of Nachri ways, then enjoy your Shabbos and long live and prosper. Thank you. And Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom. This concludes the series 3 out of 3 of the Noahide Shabbat. Again, as James Rogers said, find your potential, find your identity. Do not endorse blindness through Nachriism, and grow with your relationship with Hashem if that's where your soul takes you. Thank you.